Today, I'm speaking to one of my favorite public speakers. He's smart, he's funny, and most of all, he's a wonderful human being. I'm really fortunate to be mentored by him. Oh, and did I tell you, he's India's leading personal finance expert. And he'll be talking to us today about how we can raise financially savvy kids. It's really an honor to have you here. I can't believe that I'm speaking to you. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to sit with you and ask you some really important questions about raising financially savvy children. Um, yeah.
It's a joy and privilege to be having this conversation with you on that specific topic. So I'm excited. Let's get started.
Yes, thank you so much. So my first question to you, Ankur, is that why is it important to talk to kids about money?
Well, the question is so obvious that I don't think there is any other answer that would suffice, as against saying that money is a very important ingredient to facilitate economic transactions in the world. And then that's an obvious statement to make. Unfortunately, there is very little that is taught to kids about money either in school and college. So the only reserve that kids have to understand this is either make their own classic money mistakes, which is what most people go through, or two, get that education and that experience from parents. And it's a blessing that parents can be a great teacher, because irrespective of whether the parents are economically very sound or not, they have success or failure stories to share, which could really help kids get started. So I feel it's supremely critical that parents raise their kids in a manner that is financially literate, because school and college is not going to do that job.
But we've seen in the Indian setup, like parents don't really talk to their kids about money. And why do you think that is so? Why do you think we are told, "Arey, ye to bade logon ki baatein hain, you should not be interfering"? So why do you think Indian parents, actually parents all over the world, but particularly in India, why do you think Indian parents don't talk to their kids about money?
I think it stems from a very strong cultural bias, Meghna, where chasing money in life is not considered to be a noble thing to do. And what parents fear is बच्चों को पैसे की लत लग जाएगी. Like they will get so greedy and become so driven by money that life choices will begin to dictate basis how much money or the lack of it do they have at that point of time. So they're worried about that. And I often say that if that is the worry that you have, which is a very well-established worry, and I totally respect and appreciate that, it is even more important that you teach them about money so that you don't get them in the wrong direction. It's almost like sex education. It's almost like making kids aware about drugs and the effects of it, or just substance abuse in general. You can either close your eyes like an ostrich and pretend that it's not there, or you can facilitate an interaction with your kids where they're made aware in a very objective manner that treats them like an adult of what is it that they are going to conclusively face in their life going forward, and prepare them in some way for doing that. So don't hesitate is my recommendation. It may be an uncomfortable conversation because you've not had that with your parents, so you're nearly not trained to have it, which is again true for sex education or anything around that, relationships or career as well. But there has to be a conversation in the household.
So this is Ankur Warikoo telling you guys to have these conversations, to have money conversations with your kids, right? Ankur, tell me, what is a good age to start having these conversations, and how can really parents begin to have these conversations?
I think the age when kids start counting and they have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the tip of their fingers, figuratively speaking, and practically as well, is when you get started. And you don't have to go deep into it and start explaining them compounding and investing and everything like that. Like just the nice, happy thing of getting started with the piggy bank, getting them used to a discipline of putting that money in the piggy bank because it's reserved, as against not even caring about it, disregarding it, having a conversation around what do things actually cost. It's shocking to me how most kids are raised without even knowing the prices of things that they consume on a daily basis. Like they have no understanding how much petrol costs. They have no understanding how much bread and eggs cost. They have no understanding how vegetables and clothes or even the school fees is worth. So sensitize them towards that, not to suggest देखो हम तुम्हारे लिए कितना कर रहे हैं और देखो ये कितना महंगा है, देखो तुम्हें इतना कुछ इतनी आसानी से मिल जाता है और हमें तो इतनी फाइट मारनी पड़ती थी हमारे ज़माने में. No, don't be patronizing, don't be judgmental, don't definitely be accusing them of not appreciating this privilege that they are in. Just make them aware. Simple.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. This whole culture of guilting and shaming kids, हम तुम्हारे लिए कितना कर रहे हैं, हमने तो अपनी पूरी ज़िंदगी sacrifice कर दी तुम्हारे लिए, is something which I tell parents all the time not to do, because this blaming shaming game does not help. In fact, kids with this mentality grow up with this sense of, oh my God, I need to sacrifice myself in order to be a good parent, which is actually a very toxic belief, which takes me ages and ages in therapy to undo. So yes, very well said.
So true.
Yeah, so you mentioned about talking to kids about the prices of various items, making them more aware. How can we tailor these conversations as the kids grow up? What can we really add on to, apart from telling them the prices of items and, having them put money in their own piggy bank? What else can we do? How can we tailor these conversations as kids grow up?
So as kids grow up, you follow a very logical pattern that you would otherwise in school as well. So go back to your math classes. The first thing you were taught were numbers. The second thing you were taught is how to add those numbers. The third was subtract those numbers. The fourth was how do those numbers relate to each other or start combining in the form of algebra. And then you keep moving forward till you get to trigonometry and calculus, and none of that is frankly important in personal finance as such. But you follow the same pattern. So you start with numbers, and that is their ability to identify what is a 10 rupee note, what's a 5 rupee note, what is a 20 rupee note, what's a 50 rupee note, and being able to, as I mentioned, have a sense of this costs this much. Then you go into addition, which is, okay, if you wish to buy something worth 200 and you have only 100, how much more do you need? Okay, you need 100. How much do you usually get per month? Say 10, 20, whatever the case is. So how many months will you need to get to that point, which is a simple math. You start bringing in subtraction as well, which is, hey, to get this, what are you willing to give up? So I remember the way that we sensitized Vidur, who is our elder son, to this, is every locality, every colony has this Diwali Mela when Diwali happens, and I encouraged him to put up a stall. And the first year of the stall, it didn't matter what the stall was doing, right? So it was like, whatever, throw a bottle at a can of Pepsi and Coke and do whatever it is. But the first year was, okay, let's just see how much money you make. So he had no idea of expenses because he was way too young. So all that he was doing is, chalo hum chocolate bhi kharid lenge, pencil bhi kharid lenge, balloons bhi kharid lenge, and we'll just give it away for anyone who's striking that pyramid and whatnot. And we'll charge, say, $10 for 3 throws. So at the end of that year, all that he realized was there is something called revenue or income that you make by virtue of what you do, which is awesome. That's lesson number 1. But that's an incomplete lesson because there are expenses added to this, which he had no idea about. So the next year, I said, hey, how much did we make last year? He says, we made whatever, 500 rupees? Great. So that is your budget. So you have to now get gifts or prizes for the kids who win, and you have to do it within 500. So now he had a budget to play with, and he understood that. Then the next year was about profit and loss, to the point where he now realizes that he wants to make a stall in order to make money, or he's completely okay losing money, but that should be his money because he gets joy or entertainment or whatever else through that. And that's a very logical step of doing it. And please do not try and rush through that, because kids have their own learning curve, and you'll be surprised at how easily they learn what they wish to learn and enjoy learning, and how hard it will be for you to teach them if you are doing it against their wishes.
That's brilliant. I really like this idea. Even I encourage Misha, who's my older one. She's all of 7 right now. And of course, the last 2 years, none of the melas and community functions have happened. But this time, she's really keen on doing something for Diwali or Christmas. So let's see how that goes. But I love that idea of, having a real life practical experience to sort of teach them something so valuable, and of course, the importance of a learning curve. Okay, so Ankur, I really want to know, what are your thoughts on giving kids pocket money, and what do you think, at what age should it start, and what are some of the guidelines around pocket money that parents can keep in mind?
Sure. We haven't got to that point where we've started giving pocket money, because my opinion is you start giving pocket money when kids are beginning to have an independent life or a life independent of their parents. So they're not tagging along with the parents for a movie or for eating out or for anything. Of course, vacation is much later, but at least these two things happen quite early in somebody's life, let's say a teen or so. And at that point of time, I think it's a good idea to give a budgeted, accounted number so that they understand the discipline of what is an income. They also understand how they have to budget it, and they also understand that if they, for whatever reason, spend that money and they run out of money, then they have to cut back on the things that they would have otherwise done if they had that money. And that discipline is a very important lesson to go through. So the amount is frankly a personal decision basis where you are in terms of your economic strength, in terms of even your values, in terms of how your kids' personality or individuality is. They may not be thrifty, they may not be aggressive spenders, whatever the case may be. And I think the right time will be when you begin to see the semblance of an independent life emerge in your kids beyond you as a parent.
That's very helpful. That's super helpful. Of course, it's the same principle that I tell parents with regard to, when they ask me what's the right age to give my child a smartphone. Like, there is no right age. It all depends on your child's maturity level, your family's particular needs in terms of how often your child has to step out alone. So I like this because there is no one sure shot answer. It's about how much you've been having these conversations with your child, how independent your child becomes, at what stage of life do they really start moving out with friends, etc. Okay, so let's start talking about saving money, right? How do you think parents can encourage their kids to save their money? Like, what kind of like, for example, you start getting pocket money. What kind of saving lessons and how can parents teach to their kids?
The best and the only lesson that I would advise Meghna would be the lesson on budgeting. Saving money suddenly becomes a personal battle that parents undertake because they assume that whatever money is being given to the kids or relatives give them or other family members give them ought to be 100% saved because tum to bachche ho, tumhara kya kharcha hoga. And that I think is not the right approach because kids do have their own needs, however little they are, and whatever you may think is trivial may be very important for them. I remember, for example, Vidur on his last birthday, we always ask him what do you want for his birthday, and he's a kid who doesn't have too many needs. So he's like, no, I don't need anything. I have everything. You get everything if I need it, blah, blah, blah. But then sheepishly, one day he came in closer to his birthday and he's like, hey, I play this game a lot and there is this avatar that I want to buy which will give me superpowers to play the game better. And it's for 249 rupees. So will that be okay if that becomes a gift? I'm like, sure, why not? And that becomes a really nice conversation because then he knows that 249 has gone towards something which is not a need of his, it's just a desire. They don't have needs, or even if they have needs, those needs are mostly fulfilled by parents. So split between desires and future goals that they would want to buy something, a cycle, or perhaps even a phone or a clothing item, or go out with their friends towards something, and also giving, which I feel is a very important part that's usually missed. Yeah. Kids should be encouraged to give as well. And I don't want to use the word charity because then that seems as if you are superior to somebody that you're helping. It's just giving, it's just helping. And helping does not happen from a higher up person to a lower down person. It just happens by virtue of any interaction that humans might go through. So encourage kids to spend, save, or give.
But I really want to, when we start talking about saving, I really want to figure out, because kids are so, impulsive, and there's just such, like spontaneous creatures, right? How do you I know we're talking about spending, saving, and giving, but how do you sort of teach them about delayed gratification, which is so difficult a value to inculcate, right? I mean, even most of adults I know haven't mastered that either. So how does one go about teaching that why delaying gratification is good, and how can parents really do that?
Yeah, that's a hard one, and I don't think that it's a money question. It's basically a life question. Delayed gratification, or the ability to be patient for things that take time, which is frankly most important things in life. whether it's love, it's fulfillment, it's peace, they all take intensely long periods of time to accomplish, if at all. And you will do your kid a whole lot of favor by sensitizing them to the entire piece. Now, when I say that, here is the honest admission. Today's generation, for no fault of theirs, has this immensely hard to understand the joy of delayed gratification, because nothing around them is seemingly delayed. Yeah, you need a phone, click. You need clothes, click. You need food, click. You need the latest movies, click. You need a cab, click. You need everything, speed of thought, available to you at your doorstep through the internet and technology and whatnot. So they don't know the world that you and I have been raised in, where we had to wait for a phone connection, we had to wait for a car delivery, we had to even wait for watches to be bought, we had to stand in line to buy a bus ticket, or stand in line to even collect our daily milk for our families. And all of those things were not something that they will ever experience. And for good reason. That's just normal progress of humanity in general. Which means it becomes parents' responsibility to design a world. It's not going to happen on its own. Design a world where kids are taught to wait. In just normal life as well, they are taught to wait. Here's an example. If a kid comes in and says, hey, I want to watch YouTube, or I want to watch television, or I want to do anything, you have two choices. You can give them to them right away, or you can say, okay, you know what, you will get it, but you will get it after a couple of hours. And you will get it when you figure what you will do for the next couple of hours. Could be anything. Could be reading a book, could be painting, could be doing your homework, whatever you want to fancy. Like, I'm not putting any restrictions on that. But if you were to entertain yourself for the next couple of hours, you will get that YouTube or that television time, as against giving to them right away. If food is being made or served, then make them part of the food preparation as well. Don't call them when the food is ready, because then they only see hunger being satiated by instant food that is already prepared. Get them started from the point of cutting those vegetables or making that raw thing come alive and whatnot. It's crazy how many parents don't involve their kids in a cooking process. Well, most families don't even cook themselves now. So all of those, in fact, I think are necessary ingredients to raising kids that are taught to be patient, that appreciate the value of patience, because the last thing you want is them being so impatient in life that forget money, they will pick their first job. And how many 18 to 24-year-olds that I speak to are like, I'm 3 months into my job, lekin impact nahi aa raha. My work is not showing impact. I'm like, dude,
3 months? Seriously?
You're 3 months.
3 months? Seriously?
And that's where, like, it's not their fault, because they want to see impact, because hey, what do? They put up an Instagram reel and instantly somebody is liking it or commenting it or sharing it. So they feel that things should be instant, but they haven't been taught and trained on what are the things that take time. So you have no choice as a parent but to design this superficially, but to design it and orchestrate this inorganic world that is training your kids to be patient.
I love that. I love that answer. I love how you are, just talking about raising kids in general, raising them to, be patient. I love that, because I think that is the bane of new age parenting, right? We have everything available at the click of a button, and our kids get that. So the other day when I was, working on my laptop, my son comes up to me and he says, "Mama, buy me this Avenger." He's majorly into Avengers. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I will. So, and you know what he said? I said, yeah, I will maybe a little later or something. It's like, why not now? It's so easy. You just click of a button, order it from Amazon right now. And I'm like, how do you even know this? Like, how old are you? 5? How do you know this? So, we're raising kids in a very, very different time, as you said, from what we were raised in. And it's totally our responsibility to inculcate patience in them, which is a fast slipping away virtue. Absolutely. So that brings us to my last question. I know that your Insta reels are about threes, so I would want to ask you what are your top three tips for raising financially savvy kids? If you were just to give us a crisp three tips for raising financially savvy kids.
Number one, treat them as adults, treat them as someone who's responsible for their own decisions. Do not make them feel like kids all their life, because at some point of time they have to realize that they're not kids anymore. Number two, teach them the joy of budgeting, because that is when they not just understand what comes in, they also understand what goes out, and they also understand in what proportion it goes out. Till you don't have that discipline taught to them, they will always struggle to make sense of how much money do they need to allocate for what purpose and whether that's the right one or not. And number three, it's money at the end of it, which is far less important than your kid and their entire life. So in case they do screw up, in case they do make a poor financial decision, do recognize that money can always come back, but the confidence that your kid will lose because you blame them for making that mistake and make them feel inadequate and incapable may never come back. And that's not a mistake that you would want to make.